I didn't know how to get an art show. I don't want to be in over my head. I don't know what I'm doing. Definitely be prepared and like look at how much money you need to have saved up. I need to take my own advice. You gotta do it. Nobody tells you to do this, but you have to do this because I'm gonna tell you. Hi everyone, my name is Binta and today I want to share with you the top 7 things that I didn't learn as an art student. So first of all, I guess I should just say I went to school, I went to a liberal arts school and I got a degree in art with an emphasis in painting. And I just want to say I actually really loved my education. I really value my education. Even though I've been out of school for like, oh my gosh, how long has it been? When did I graduate? Wow. So yeah, it's been like almost a decade. 10-year reunion coming up. Anyway, I haven't been in school for a minute, but I just wanted to put that out there. You know, this isn't like to say that my education was bad or anything. It definitely wasn't. I had a great education. The thing is, it didn't really go into the business side of being an artist. It really wasn't built around like telling us or teaching us how to make a living as an artist in the world. And disclaimer, I'm not making a living as an artist yet, but I'm working on it. Like, it seems like some people just like have their art in the Guggenheim and they're really famous, but like what happens in between? Plus like galleries usually take like 30 to 50% commission on all sales. So I thought it'd be helpful to share my top 7 things that I didn't learn as an art student that would have been really helpful and can be really helpful to you if you're watching and wondering. So my first tip is be your own biggest fan. Clap. Be your own biggest fan. And this might be like the most difficult piece of advice for some people. Some people are already like a huge fan of themselves. If you're like me, it's kind of hard to like promote yourself and put yourself out there. But it's really important that you do that because quite frankly, like nobody knows, you know, until you share that, nobody's gonna know that you're an artist. No one's gonna know, you know, if you're talented necessarily. Like maybe your family members or friends. Nobody knows you. Nobody knows what you can do. You know, who's gonna support you if you're like, no, I'm like terrible and I won't show you my stuff. Like, no, you have to support yourself. You have to back yourself and be your own biggest fan. To say it about yourself and also like not sound kind of like a jerk. I don't know, like it can be really uncomfortable. If it's not uncomfortable for you, great. Don't even worry about this step, I guess. But yeah, for a lot of people, it's tough. But you gotta start practicing and you don't have to like just go out there like one day and be great at it. Like, no, you can just like start, I don't know, start in your own head. Just be like, you know, I am good at this. Give yourself a pat on the back. Number 2 is have an online presence. It's really important these days, you know, everybody's online. It's, just have an online presence. A website is great if you're just starting out or you're just like not there yet. There are other platforms you can use. Instagram is great if you have a smartphone. Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. There are a lot of places. So you can just you know, set something up, post pictures of your art and, you know, that's how people will, this like leads back into the first point that I made. Really, people won't know about you unless you let them know. I gotta let the cat out. Bye bye. So rude. Oh, my leg is asleep. Some sort of social media account that's dedicated to your art. That's a great way to get to know other artists who you can learn a lot from. You can also like get a lot of opportunities through those channels. There are people out there who are just looking for art, looking for people who are doing art and posting it and like being like, hey, I want more art for my house. You know, I wonder who I can buy it from. So if you put yourself out there, you know, they might find you and they might message you and just be like, hey, do you sell? Third thing is, I didn't know how to get an art show. Honestly, I'll be honest, I'm not the best person to ask about getting gallery shows. I don't really do gallery shows. If the gallery scene is like what you're going for and that's all you want to do, nothing else, I don't know if I'm the best person to help you. But if you want to start small, like if you do a gallery show, you might sell your stuff, you might not. If you do sell it, you'll probably have some commission taken, like 30 to 50% of what you charged for it. So if you want to like avoid that, a good way to start getting your art out there is to get shows at coffee shops and bars. I do that. That's primarily what I do. Like if I do a show, I just look around, you know, like if I'm going out with friends, if I go out for brunch or dinner or drinks or whatever, just like start training yourself to look around at the walls, at the art, and see if there are price tags. You know, a lot of times there are businesses where they just like have their fixtures, like their own art, but a lot of businesses, bars and coffee shops and restaurants will switch out the art. They want actual like local artists to come in, and it's usually like a month-to-month thing. So like one artist will put up their art for 1 month and then they'll take it down and the next artist will put theirs up. So that's a really good way to do it. Like if you see that there's art with little price tags on them, that's a great opportunity. I usually just go up to the counter and like, you know, ask whoever's on hand. I try to be respectful. Like if they're really busy, I'm like, I'll wait for a second. But I just like ask the person at the counter like, hey, I noticed there's this art up for sale and it looks great. I'm also an artist. I don't know if there's anyone I could talk to, something along those lines. And this is like honestly usually mutually beneficial. So like, don't feel like a jerk for being like, hey, can I put my art on your walls? Because a lot of the time they're looking, like if this is something that they regularly do, they're trying to fill up their art calendar for the year. They need like 12 artists every year. And it's just less stress for them if they don't have to like go searching and be like, hey, does anybody out there who makes art that's like appropriate to put on the walls of this business? That's another thing. Like if you have just a bunch of naked people, it might not be the best for like a family restaurant. And then like as far as commission goes with those, it really depends on the business. There are some businesses who will take like a small cut, I think, like 10% I think I've had, which is not very much. It's definitely not 50%. And honestly, a lot of them have just like not taken a cut and just said like all profits go to you. Some of them have even like given me, they're like, hey, if you want to have like a little art opening, feel free to like invite your friends. And I just like let them know when it's gonna happen. Oh yeah, there's another thing I wanted to mention with that is if you do end up getting a show like in a bar or restaurant or something like that, definitely be sure to ask about like the hanging requirements for the art. Like some people might not want nails stuck in their walls. Some people really don't care if there are nails on the walls. Some people, like if there's like that molding that's along the top, they might want you to have like an S hook and then like hanging it from strings so that the walls don't get messed up. Actually, I just learned something recently when I hung a show in a shop where there was a wall that was made of metal. So even though it didn't look like metal, they're like, you can't put a nail in it. So I actually learned a trick from the shop owner, which is that you can use command strips that are like those like Velcro things with adhesive on both sides. So you like stick one to the wall and one to the canvas and then like stick it together. Worked really well. It might depend on what you're hanging. If it's something really heavy, like if you work primarily with like heavy wood, or if it's like a glass framed thing that's really heavy, it might not work. So definitely like read the back of the packaging. I don't remember off the top of my head what the weight limits are. I know, crazy. Oh yeah, and bring your own hanging supplies. Don't expect them to have your stuff. No, bring your own level, pencil. Make sure you've looked at the walls and maybe have like a loose plan. I usually kind of just like go by my gut when I'm hanging, but it's good to have a loose plan for what you're gonna do, and like you'll want to know how much art you need to like fill those walls. And nails, if you can use nails. Definitely blue tape and like your labels. Make sure you like printed out your labels, and then people can put a little red dot on it when it's sold. Feels so good. Bring more than you think you need. Scissors, duplicates of the pricing. If I don't know if you mess something up, just be prepared. Oh, and a hammer, of course. I mentioned a level, I think, but I use that every time, and that can double as a ruler. Okay, number 4, how to sell your art online. Didn't learn about this in school. So there are lots of ways you can sell your art online, lots of sites that you can use. I think great sites to start out on are like sites like Etsy, Redbubble. I haven't used Redbubble, but I've heard of it. Same with like DeviantArt. I've heard of it, but I haven't used that one. I have used Etsy, Society 6, well, okay, so Etsy, you'll actually like be selling product that you make, so it's like more of a hands-on thing. With Society6, for example, you upload files that they turn into products like phone cases and I don't know, bath mats and stuff and mugs, and they take care of like the manufacturing and the shipping and the customer service and all that. You don't get very much in return though, because they're really doing like most of the work other than creating the art and like putting it up there. You can just kind of like test it out and test out your audience and see if people like your stuff and just learn how the whole process works. You can also, like if you have your own website, and you have the ability to do so, you could set up an online shop in your website. I have one now, I didn't before, but I have a shop now and I'm using it. I use Squarespace. So the upside to having your own shop is that, like on your own website, is that if people are going to your website, they're going to look at your stuff. They're not just like shopping around and then like seeing someone else's art and being like, oh, I like that more than this person's. The downside is that like nobody knows it's there unless you tell them, again. So you gotta advertise that and you gotta let people know that your shop's there and you gotta direct people there all the time, constantly, which I only started doing like a week ago. Shameless plug, I started selling these Black Lives Matter stickers that I designed and then got printed as a fundraiser. So actually all the profits are going to a non-profit called the INNOCENCE Project. Basically, they use like DNA testing to prove the innocence of people who have been wrongly convicted. But if you want some stickers, go visit my website. Maybe I'll just put it here. Just put it on the screen. This cat is actually gonna try to knock my camera off the chair. Go sit up there. I tricked the cat to go into going outside so that I could get some peace and quiet. You also want to consider with these sites like who's doing the production. Like, are you making the prints? Is someone else making the prints? If someone else is doing the work, that might be really like better for you if you're just starting out and you're like, I don't want to be in over my head, I don't know what I'm doing. At the same time, you're really gonna limit your own sales. If someone else is gonna do the production, like Society6, you're not gonna make that much money off of it unless you're selling just a lot. Also consider like who's doing the shipping. Are you gonna have to ship these on your own? Like Society6 will just ship it to the customer. If it's Etsy, you're gonna have to make sure that that product goes out. So you're gonna have to check your emails and check your orders and make sure that you're not just letting, you know, someone didn't just pay you for something that you just never ship out. That's no bueno. So don't do that. Consider, of course, like how much of a profit do you want to make? I'm really bad at this. Every artist ever has like suggested actually looking at how much of a profit you want to make and how much it costs to make that product and how much your time is worth. You gotta make sure that you are selling your art for more than you've spent to make it. I need to take my own advice and like bump my prices up, which is like what all my friends always tell me. But I have a hard time because I also just want people, I want it to be accessible and I want like anybody who loves it to be able to have it. But at the same time, like, I can't just pay people to take my art. So this is a hard one and I'm telling myself at the same time as I'm telling you. Speaking of sales, number 5, sell prints. Don't think that you always have to sell only your original art. Honestly, I make my biggest sales are my original art, and most of my customers want original art over prints or anything like that. However, like, it takes a minute. It takes a little while to make the actual original piece. Some people really want your art, but they're not necessarily able to afford your art, at least like at the moment when they want it. Maybe they'll work up to it at some point, but maybe they're like, I just want to print for now, or something little. Prints, stickers, greeting cards, I do all these things. It also costs you less, like, per print. So think about like where you could get those prints made. Are you gonna do it yourself? Are you gonna buy a printer and all the paper and, you know, you're savvy in that way? Or are you going to outsource it to a local print shop? I do a lot of mine through a local UPS store. For larger pieces, I actually use called Gango Editions. They actually will photograph like larger pieces that don't fit on most scanning beds. They will actually professionally photograph your art for you and can reproduce it and turn it into prints of various sizes and even stretch a print, like printed on canvas around a frame, which is really cool, and it looks good. It looks almost like the original painting. So look at your options as far as printing goes. Like, are you gonna outsource that? How much is that gonna cost? Are you gonna do it yourself? How much is that gonna cost? Also consider if you're gonna print things on demand, like if you're just gonna have a shop and you're like, oh, unlimited like an unlimited number of this print is available, and as people buy it, then you print it out and send it? Or are you gonna like get the prints ahead of time and say like, I'm making 100 prints of this and only 100 are available, and you know, when they're gone, they're gone. Also consider like if you're getting your art scanned to be reproduced, it's different from getting it professionally photographed. A lot of the time the scanner will actually take some of the color out, it'll like wash out a little bit. Some places will actually like do some color correction and like bring those colors back if they've washed out. Some places may not. If you're scanning things, or even photographing it, have like the highest resolution possible so that you can reproduce it. It won't be like fuzzy or grainy. It'll like look professional. You don't want it to look really bad because then you look bad, and that's not what we want. Okay, number 6. The sixth thing that I didn't learn in art school was like the financial side of things. Money matters. So the money matters. Now, I'm not a financial advisor or anything, so I can't give any advice. I just can't. But I can tell you what I did. I'm still learning the whole financial side of this business. But what I did do actually just last year was I actually did all my research, and I set up a business, and I established a business, an LLC, and then I also established a separate bank account for my art. I didn't do this at first, honestly, for years because I was not making very much at all, but then I was like, I really want to take this seriously. I really want to turn this into a business on its own. So I set up a separate bank account that all of my art sales will go into, just so I can keep track and actually know what's coming in and what's going out and all that good stuff. Some people will start out like, they'll like quit their day job and they'll have a bunch of money saved up, and they'll figure out like how much they think they need to save up to like survive. That just like, I'm so impressed, but it makes me so uncomfortable. Like the idea of it scares me. So I didn't do that. So you can, I don't know, figure out what's right for you. If you're like, I need to dive in all the way and just like become a full-time artist, or else I'm not really gonna do it, then do that. But definitely be prepared and like look at how much money you need to have saved up if you're gonna have enough for rent and food and all that. I was just not comfortable doing that. I was like, I'm gonna like try to build up this business on the side while I do my regular day job, just so I have that financial security, because financial security is huge to me. Ugh. I know that like some other people will also like kind of go half and half, and as they're building a career, they'll just have a part-time job. That makes sense to me too, because honestly, like having a full-time job and then trying to do art, like it's a lot. So, you know, it's a very individual thing. It looks different for everyone. Just like see what's right for you, think about what's right for you, and consider all of the options. We'll say like from talking to friends and other artists who did just decide to go all out and just like quit their jobs and be artists, a lot of them, and like other videos that I've watched, a lot of people do save up money for like 2 to 3 years, or sometimes they'll even save up like 2 to 3 years worth of like money to live off of. That's a lot to think about. So things like rent, food, emergency fund, utilities, all the things. Okay, last but not least, number 7 is you have to protect your love for your craft. You gotta do it. Nobody tells you to do this, but you have to do this because I'm gonna tell you. So, here's what you gotta do. You gotta put yourself out there. You gotta put your work out there. Do stretch your comfort zone in terms of what you're producing, like pushing yourself to try new things. Do definitely pay attention to the types of projects that you do love doing. So you gotta like stretch yourself, try new things, try things you haven't done before, different types of art, different ways of working. Pay attention the entire time to what works and what doesn't in that process. Even if it's all working, like what you enjoy and what you like do not enjoy. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with the person who you're doing it for, or like what it is. Like I've made things for like people that I think are awesome humans, and I've been like, this wasn't really a fun process for me. Some of us are more inclined to like certain ways of working or types of work than others, and you don't have to do something that you don't enjoy You can say no. It's okay. Don't force yourself to do something that you really don't want to do, because you'll end up killing your joy for the craft and for the process, and that's just not worth it. It's hard to say no. I'm still working on it. Just be respectful though. I mean, just in general, just in life. Something that I have been learning this year, like finally, but like I really needed to learn this lesson and I'm actually learning it, is don't stretch yourself too thin. Don't stretch yourself too thin. It's so easy to do when you actually start getting momentum and you're like, I want to do all these projects, and like you're just saying yes to this and yes to that. You might end up stretching yourself really thin and get really tired and really stressed out and burned out. Honestly, I learned a lot about that also when like COVID came along. Like personally, having a lot of plans canceled was like the best thing that could have happened to me. I was so stretched so thin and stressed out. A lot of things like were canceled. Like my blood pressure was just like, pew, like went right down, like literally. I am healthier, which is so weird. So that is it. Those are my 7 bits of advice. 7 things that I didn't learn as an art student when I was in school. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave a comment below. If there are any of these parts of this that you would want me to elaborate on more, definitely let me know. I hope this was helpful for at least some people. Check out my website. I'm selling the Black Lives Matter stickers, at least for now when I'm posting this. I think that's about it. Give me a like, subscribe for more, and have an awesome day. Bye.